Have you ever been 100% sure you're going to love a show? Like before you even know anything about it, you just know it's going to be right up your alley. That was the Fragrant Flower Blooms with Dignity for me. It's an anime in my favorite genre, made by my favorite studio, and it's based on source material that is by all counts pretty great. It was a slam dunk, but I wasn't going to make frame-by-frame episodes for it. First of all, these take me a significant amount of time to make. From start to finish, it's somewhere around 8 total hours of work per episode. Put my full-time job on top of that, and I couldn't imagine fitting a 4th show into the workflow. Then we have the unusual distribution of the show itself. It's not releasing in North America until September, and even regions outside of Japan that do get the show are a full week behind. Put these two things together, and I was happy to put this show out of my workflow for now and make videos on it later. The other night though, I had just finished some video editing and really wanted to watch an episode of something before going to bed. After a moment's hesitation, I figured watching the premiere couldn't hurt. So I popped it on, and as the credits on the first episode rolled, I thought, I'm gonna have to make videos about this show. Because dude, I loved this debut. And not because it did anything revolutionary. In fact, it was pretty by the books. But when every part of the execution is top-notch, you don't have to break the mold to make something great. At least, not yet. Let's talk about it. Welcome to a surprise 4th episode of this week of Frame by Frame, the series where every week I make a video on each episode of these 4 shows, covering one big idea along with some smaller segments. I hope you'll subscribe to follow along for the rest of the season. I'd love to have you aboard. Also, as a run of show notes, I will be following the release schedule of the English subtitles for this show, so a week behind the fastest release. Let's start with the brief rundown on the plot of episode 1. And before we start, apologies for any bungling I do of our main female character's name, Kaoruko. That's a tough one for me, a lot of vowel sounds close together. Anyway, Rintaro is a high school student who attends Chidori Public High School. The school is right next door to Kikyo, a private girls' academy. The students at Kikyo look down on the students at Chidori. Rintaro is an intimidating figure, but in reality is a quiet boy who helps out at his parents' bakery when they need it. One evening he meets Kaoruko at the bakery, who runs off when she notices him. Rintaro is worried that he scared her off, but another evening she comes by to apologize and explain that she was just embarrassed. She clearly likes Rintaro and doesn't find him scary like everyone else. After Kaoruko leaves, a couple of boys corner her in an alleyway. After she rejects the boy's characterization of Rintaro, he comes to her rescue. The next morning, he looks across at Kikyo and sees Kaoruko, realizing that she is both his age and a student at the school that hates everyone at his own. Next up is the shot, the scene from the episode that really caught my eye. This show loves a close-up, there's no denying that. But I think my favorite instances of them came at the end of the episode, when Rintaro sees Kaoruko across the divide between their schools. It's nothing too crazy, but it hits the tone it's going for just right. The aperture framing of Rintaro here is really nice, and the push-in on the windows of Kikyo really builds the tension. We all know it's going to be Kaoruko opening those curtains, but the facial expressions of both of them really sells the shock perfectly. I like how Kaoruko's is a little amazement with the astonishment, while Rintaro's really captures the fear racing across his mind as his whole idea of Kaoruko is shaken. I would have killed to see her reaction. I have a hunch we may get that next episode. Let's jump into the main idea for this episode. If you happen to watch my video on dandadan's 2nd episode, I said this. If we as an audience feel like we know what's coming next, it's a lot harder to make something engrossing. This premiere is the exception to what I was talking about there. Honestly, this setup is one that I've seen in countless places before. You have the tough-looking guy, who's actually a softie, the two seemingly incompatible circumstances of our leads with the rival schools, the brave defense of the small woman by the burly and heroic man. It's all been done before in every which way you could imagine. But here's the thing, this setup is common for a reason. When done properly, it's compelling. Even if you've seen it before, Kaoruko seeing Rintaro for who he is really sweet, and we were all dying for him to save her later on. These story beats are familiar, but they're not too worn out. And here's the biggest thing. For a premiere of a season, I think it's perfect, because of how it sets you up to subvert expectations later. Maybe that doesn't happen, and we get a by-the-numbers romance that I will still happily devour across the 13 episodes this season. But if it wants to, there's a million different ways to lead us down unfamiliar alleys off of these well-worn streets. Right now, there's little bits and pieces of West Side Story, of Casablanca in this premise, but I think they've got some tricks up their sleeve to make this story have its own niche in the expanse that is the romance genre. So while it didn't break the mold this go-around, this debut episode has me really excited for more. Our last segment is my one big question going into the next episode. For this premiere, my question is, what is the divide of the show's attention going to be between the main romance and everything else? I've seen my fair share of romance anime, and this question can have a wide array of answers. We got a nice introduction to Rintaro's friends here, and I'm sure there's a cast of characters on Karuko's side that we have to meet too. But I hope that doesn't bog down the main romantic development too much. I would say that's the classic pitfall of the genre, taking too long rolling that main ball along. One episode isn't enough to make any judgments, but I'll be keeping my eye on it. And that's it. That is the real end to week 2 of Frame by Frame. Provided that making 4 videos like this a week doesn't kill me, I am pumped to keep rolling through all of these shows. If you missed any past episodes, I have playlists for all of these series on my channel. As always, liking and subscribing helps a lot and will keep you in the loop. I'm SlamAnime, and have a great rest of your day.